Of Isaac Hadja. We see that Pierre Gasly on the medium tyre pops himself 5th fastest. Lawson in the other Racing Bulls goes 6th fastest, and Norris crosses the line now to go 3rd fastest overall with the best final sector. So we've got soft tyre, medium tyre, soft tyre, medium tyre in the top 4. Colin Pinto with a very impressive time of a 1:12.7. Hamilton crosses the line, and Lewis Hamilton down in 16th place currently in that bottom 5. Here's Oscar Piastri, goes quickest by 2.5 tenths from George Russell.
And you'd have to say at the moment the medium tyre looks like it's a better tyre, but the front runners, if that is the case, will want to save theirs until later on, especially both McLarens and both Ferraris. They've only got one new set of those yellow marked mediums. Well,
Lance Stroll's just done his lap on the soft. His teammate, Fernando Alonso, has decided that the medium tyre is the way to go. And a 22.9 for Fernando Alonso is a 10th off his teammate, but he gained a 10th on his teammate during the first sector. Alonso, one of 2 drivers to out-qualify his teammate at every single race so far this season. Max Verstappen is the other. Not beaten by Liam Lawson or Yuki Tsunoda as yet. Out of that final chicane comes Fernando Alonso with a DRS open down the main straight, goes 3rd fastest behind Lance Stroll, but only by 3 thousandths of a second, which kind of indicates to me, Martin, that they're much of a muchness, the soft and the medium.
Yeah, looks that way, doesn't it? But Aston Martin then definitely pretty quick in these early stages. What can young Charlie Leclerc do in his Ferrari? Dismantled it yesterday in a very serious way, but he soon got back on the pace today.
Into the chicane comes Charles Leclerc. That 3rd on the grid is only ever top 9 starts here in Montreal before, and he goes 2nd fastest now behind Oscar Piastri. So around about a 10th of a second separating the lead McLaren and the lead Ferrari. Alexandra, Charles Leclerc's partner, watching on from the back of the garage, and something to smile about for the time being, but there's a long, long way to go here. Currently, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton in that bottom 5. Hamilton with a couple of warm-up laps, I think, to have a stab at a qualifying push lap. Then Behrman, Ocon and Tsunoda all in that bottom 5. And here then comes Max Verstappen, winner in the last 3 years here, and the pole sitter in 22 and 23. And it would have been 24 if he'd have set his time before George Russell, because it was an identical time, because George got it first. He started first.
DRS wide open. Doing a feature on that in Austin, Texas next week. I'm driving a McLaren where we're going to do. I'm going to get the DRS open and try to explain to you what it feels like, if anything.
You get all the best, James.
I do.
What's this, car number 62, 63?
73.
73.
Yeah. And I reckon I'll do about 6 laps and I'll be jelly, to be honest, around Austin in a modern Formula 1 car.
Right, we have news from the stewards as we watch Max Verstappen and news about his teammate Yuki Tsunoda. Hamilton goes 2nd fastest. Verstappen powering down the main straight goes quickest overall by 6/100ths of a second from Oscar Piastri. Yuki Tsunoda, though, is going to get a 10-place grid penalty. He overtook Oscar Piastri under red flags in FP3. Piastri's car was damaged. Tsunoda passed him on the back straights. So we see Piastri just running out of tarmac a little bit there. And he's got a 10-place grid penalty as a result. That is a massive blow and could once again, for the 3rd time this season, see a Red Bull starting last on the grid.
Indeed, Piastri, because that turn 1 now is effectively just an approach to turn 2 hairpin, and Piastri got in just a little bit too hot. It was not that difficult there to actually touch the grass and go straight in the wall, but so he did well to recover that. But Hamilton then has recovered from obviously losing that initial lap, and we've got Alonso and Verstappen 1 and 2. I tell you what, that's a mixed bunch, isn't it? I mean, Norris down in 10th, all a little bit odd at the moment.
It seems to me that with every lap that goes by, more rubber, as you were saying, Martin, gets laid on this track, and you find the conditions are that much better. It's evolving all the time, and I don't think you can afford to sit in the garage too much and watch other lap times going on the board. Tsunoda, who's going to get a 10-place grid penalty, goes 9th fastest. Bortoletto was another one with a red flag infringement. At Sauber, they've successfully argued that one. No further action against him. Good to see Summer McIntosh here. and she's rather pleased to be in the back of that Red Bull garage as well.
Yeah, I think they need, even if Tsunoda's got the grid drop, they need to get him out there, get him used to qualifying, give him the experience and get some confidence in that.
It's an interesting one. You can't overtake under a red flag, but Oscar Piastri clearly had damage to his car and was clearly going quite slowly, but he'd gone a long way around the red flag lap at Tsunoda by the time he passed the McLaren.
It's a tough one.
Ooh, something just fly off that Williams, or did he collect something on the track? I wonder. Is there a bit of debris? Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Just there, something's come off the Williams there from the rear wing.
Yeah.
Oh, the engine cover.
The engine cover.
Yeah.
And then he had to abandon the last chicane in the middle of it.
What?
So a huge piece of the engine covers off. Look.
Oh, I wonder. Is that something that wasn't attached properly, and then at full speed?
Looks like
it's
got underneath it, doesn't it? But they'll have to red flag that. It's got to be red flagged now, because to clear that up, you can't put marshals out there. But
well, there is a red flag now with 5.5 minutes to go. There's a red flag now. That could be good news for Alex Albon and for Williams, who, once he gets it back into the garage, I'm sure will have an engine cover spare that they need to replace it with.
That's a big old piece of furniture to put on a Formula One car in a hurry in a qualifying session. I'm sure they pre-fitted it, but it's, that's a massive piece of bodywork to just hurriedly put on. And the FIA will want to have a very, very good look at that as well and understand why that happened, and to make sure it won't happen again on that or Carlos Sainz's car.
Quite, and he's in the bottom 5 currently, Alex Albon, so he does need to get back out on the track and try and improve his position. Top 4 yesterday for Albon in the Williams, who have been going pretty well so far this weekend with both cars. And you've got Carlos Sainz down there in the bottom 5 too. That would be a massive blow for the team if both of their drivers remain in that bottom 5.
Yeah, it's a team that would expect to be just sneaking into the top 10, isn't it, this weekend?
So, red flag then, and rightly so. And once Ollie Behrman has gone past turn 12, where the debris is, the marshals can get onto the track and clear that debris away. As into the pits then comes that Williams. And Ted Kravitz, you're down there.
Thank you, Crofty. Yeah, I'm just looking down to the very, very worried faces on the Williams pit wall. They have to understand immediately what happened. Normally, these bits of bodywork are all taped down with essentially a sort of sticky tape. Well, it is a sellotape, not double-sided, but they're all sort of taped down. So, has there been some damage that has caused it to fail? Was there a bit of finger trouble in the garage so that it wasn't all either taped down or screwed down? They need to understand that quickly. I'm kind of waiting to see if there are any people from the FIA going down there to understand. In fact, I can see a man in blue trousers and a white shirt with an FIA logo on it on his way down to the Williams garage. And that might not be something that, if they can just repair it on Albon and get him out again in this red flag, that Albon will be able to carry on. Because if the FIA need to understand exactly what's happened, they might not let him. Sainz currently is in, isn't he, Crofty? I think in 15th.
He's 16th.
Good morning, students. This is Sonu sir, and you are most welcome in Namo Academy. As you can see, that today we are going to just begin with a very important topic of first flight, class 10th. And the first chapter is a letter to God, and written by G.L. Fuentes. You might have seen and heard in your life letter to father, letter to mother, letter to friends, and as well as official letters too. But you might be a little bit surprised hearing letter to God. It's really a surprising to hear that. Let's go to study and try to peep into the chapter, that how A Letter to God is, what kind of chapter is, and the characters that has been just included in this chapter, that is really interesting. A Letter to God is basically a chapter in which we find the central character is none other than Lencho and his wife, and we can say the postmaster. And not only that, his children has also been just included in this chapter. The role of his children, the children of Lencho. This chapter starts in this way, and before that I would like to read it out, and then I would like to explain it line by line, so you will get to know the words meaning in between the chapter, as well as the meaning of the chapter that has been explained. The house, the only one in the entire valley, sat on the crest of a low hill. You know, the setting of this story is in this way, that the writer has just presented the scenery, the beautiful scene, especially the location of house of Lencho, which is on the top. Crest means top. Crest means on the top of the hill. It is the house of Lencho which is located. This is what it has been. Entire valley means the valley in which the only house of the Lencho was on the top of the crest, means on the hill. From this height, one could see the rivers and the field of ripe corns dotted with flowers that always promised a good harvest. And you know, the second thing here, when you go on the top of the house and on the top of the hills in the valley, you will see the panoramic views, from where you will able to see the whole village. And it's not only the village, my dear students, but also you will be able to see the scenery, the natural views of the house. That is really a very glad to see. Such a God-gifted place it is look like. The only thing the earth needed was a downpour, or at least a shower. Throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his fields intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards the northeast. Here we find that Lencho, as commonly we know that farmers in India totally depend on seasons, rains, because our countries is not much developed that the farmers could be able to cultivate their lands according with the help of technology. So they will have to totally depend on what we can say the rains. All the same, Lencho was looking towards the sky with hopes, with aspiration that today and tomorrow there will be rain. And it was not the rain, it was prosperity, it was happiness in the form of rain for Lencho. That's why Lencho was looking towards east and north, so that it could be a heavy rain, or it could be the downpour, or it could be shower, because these rains could add the beauty to his land, and could be his crops would be able to be harvested. That's why he was looking with lots of expectation.